Welcome everyone, my name is Ihuntwabbits and this is my DPS guide to the Survival Hunter. This information is accurate as of patch 5.2. Okay, now the first thing I want to go over is talents. Tiers 1 and 2 are both cookie cutter. The only talent you need in the first one is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Chimera. Reduces the cooldown of Disengage by 10 seconds and the cooldown of Deterrence by 60 seconds, turning Deterrence into a 1-minute cooldown. Now Deterrence is going to be your major survivability cooldown, reducing damage taken by 30% for 5 seconds and deflecting all incoming spell attacks. Tier 2, you're going to want Silencing Shot. As a raid DPS, you're going to want to silence for NPCs and interrupt for bosses. Stuns and binds are really useless to you as a DPS. And moving into the third tier, you can either heal yourself for 30% on a 2-minute cooldown, take 15% less damage all the time, or get passively healed for 2% every 2 seconds. Personally, I prefer to just take 15% less damage at all times. In the fourth tier, you can either restore 50 focus and then another 50 over 10 seconds. You can get free arcane shots or multi-shots if you're doing multi-target DPS, but I prefer Dire Beasts. It summons an extra pet that deals anywhere between 5 and 10,000 DPS depending on your gear and whatever procs are up at the time, and it gives you 5 focus every 2 seconds when it attacks. Down in the fourth tier, now I've tested this many hundreds of times. As a survival hunter, Murder of Crows wins out every single time. The other two abilities are nice, but they're really pet damage, and unless you're BM spec, it's not going to be anything impressive. In the fifth tier, Power Shot does 600% weapon damage. It's nice, but it is a 45-second cooldown. Barrage, it rapidly channels a lot of arrows. Again, it's nice, but you have to sit there and channel it. You can't really keep up with the priorities in your rotation. I just prefer Glaive Toss. It's 15-second cooldown, instant. I can just throw them out. It's 2 separate attacks, giving me 2 chances to crit for extra damage. I just prefer this one. On moving into glyphs, you're going to want to have Glyph of Animal Bond, which increases healing received by 10% while your pet is active. You're going to want to have Glyph of Liberation. Whenever you disengage, you get healed for 5% of your health. At my current gear, this is about a 21 to 23k heal every 15 seconds, which is pretty useful. The main thing you're going to want is Glyph of Deterrence. Remember, we talked earlier about Deterrence being your main raid survivability cooldown. This increases the damage reduction to 50%. Now let's get into pets. As a raid DPS, you're going to want to make sure you have the proper buffs active whenever you can. As a survival hunter, it is imperative that you have plus 5% critical strike. You can achieve this yourself with a simple wolf pet, Ferocious Howl, increasing crit chance by 5% for 1 minute on a 45-second cooldown, so it's always up. If somebody in your party is already providing you with 5% crit, your next best choice would be a cat pet for mastery. Survival mastery is plus spell damage, and 90% of what we do is spell damage, and that's achieved through Roar of Courage, lasts 1 minute at a 45-second cooldown. And finally, if somebody else is also already providing mastery, your next best choice would be Sunder Armor. This can be achieved through a Raptor by Tear Armor. If there's already a warrior tank in your group, then all buffs are covered and you're more than welcome to just pick your favorite pet and have at it. And now let's get into rotation. Your top priority is going to be Explosive Shot. It's going to be your highest source of output. Make sure you play it whenever it's available. Your second priority is Black Arrow. It's good DPS and it procs extra explosive shots. Your third priority is going to be whatever your level 90 talent is. When it's available, play it. Arcane Shot is of the lowest priority. It is not part of our rotation as a survival hunter. It is only there as a focus dump and for mild bursts if we need to do a little bit extra damage. Do not blow all your focus on this ability, or you're not going to have anything for your higher priorities. Serpent Sting shares top priority with Explosive Shot. If this is not up, you will lose a good portion of your DPS and focus regen, which will hurt your DPS. Cobra Shot. I say it shares lowest priority with Arcane Shot, but it's really not on the priority system. The general basic rotation for this spec is if you have 50 or more focus, with nothing to play, you should play Arcane Shot until you're under 50 focus. If you're below 50 focus and you have nothing to play, you should play Cobra Shot so that you have focus. Now, as you fiddle around with this rotation, you'll begin to learn when and where you can dump extra focus and still Cobra Shot it back before your priorities are ready. And you'll learn when and where you shouldn't dump anything because you've got all your stuff coming back and you're going to need all your focus. As for multi-target DPS, if it's 2 mobs, you're pretty much going to stick with your single target rotation and substitute multi-shot for Arcane Shot. If it's 3 or 4 mobs, you're going to switch to Explosive Trap versus Black Arrow, and you're going to multi-shot and use up Explosive Shot charges when Lock and Load procs. If it's 5 or more, for the most part, you're pretty much going to stick with Cobra Shotting and multi-shotting with Dire Beast for extra focus. That pretty much concludes this guide to the Survival Hunter DPS. Just remember 2 things: focus management is key, and make sure you turn off pet growl when you're DPSing. Thank you.